Because I traced the outline from the original pickup holes, it was too small and I still had a fair way to go to make them fit. I used the height adjustment screws to help find the natural balance of where the pickups should sit to draw the new outline. I found that using the Dremel tool in the router table fashion was the best way to control the shaving away of the excess material, and it also helped to keep a right angle within the cut. I was always cautious to avoid raising the tool up into the face of the pickguard when it was turned on. This sanding or grinding tool on the Dremel cut through like a hot knife through butter, so I can see why nail technicians use this type of tool. I could have used files to do this resizing, but the forces of a file pushing through might have been too flexing on the pickguard because I don't have a vise to hold it steady. When I did use a file to straighten up the lines, I had to rest the pickguard as close to the edge of the table as I could for stability. I started fresh lines on the inside of the guard, so I knew exactly what I was aiming for. There were so many lines on the front by this point that I didn't know which ones were which. Once I found the fit I needed, I would use a low grit sandpaper to remove the file and Dremel tool marks, and later would use a finer sandpaper to get it ready for polishing. On the second hole I had to fit, I was more confident with the tool and taking away a lot more material in one pass. Still hesitant to use the file, but I needed to straighten the lines out. Getting ready to glue the design to the inside of the pickguard.
God damn it. You know where the nippers are, the yellow handled nippers? What's that on?
The nails in the screw holes were still the best way to line everything up. Again, they were loose in the holes individually, but together they averaged out over the 7 points and held the elements tightly in place. Once I had my final size and shape to the acrylic, I drew a finer cutting guideline with the back of the X-Acto knife, which added a scratch line in the face of the design. If I used a pen, it would disappear on the darker areas of the design, and if I used a paint type pen, it would leave ink on the edge of the acrylic. I didn't want to see any of the paper peeking out from behind the edges. I cut about 1mm within the line because the beveled edge of the acrylic would bend the light, so you don't even see the edge of the cutout design under the edge after it's glued down. I felt that the final sanding and polishing needed to be completed before gluing down the design. This would have been 250 or 300 grit paper to remove the scratch lines from the sanding with the 150 that I used to remove the Dremel and file lines. At the time I debated if anyone would even notice the condition of the inside of these pickup holes, but it is a clear pickguard after all, so you are going to be able to see through it to most of its edges. I was happy with all of the placement of everything and decided to outline the areas that would be cut away later. What I didn't realise was that there would be about 1mm of play when gluing it down, and these lines would be off. However, they did provide something to aim for when lining up to glue down. I edited out a lot of this line cutting, but this is where I was cutting inside of that marked line because the edge of the acrylic bevel curves the light and hides the edge of the paper. One last polishing round to hit the inside of the pickup holes on the pickguard. By now I had buffed enough with this tool that I had just the right touch and was even able to hit the inside of the pickup holes without too much fuss. Having a chance to access the edge now that the protective paper was removed, I thought I would give that inside edge another polish before the design got stuck to it. I was using the airbrush as a cleaning tool, blowing away any foreign matter that would land on the design or the acrylic. I was using the nails in the body to keep everything in line and had the black cardboard down to protect the design underneath that was not yet protected by polyurethane. I mentioned in the other video for this project, but if I had done this again, I should only glue the very edge or a few selected edges just to keep the design tacked to the acrylic. I had thinned out the glue with the roller, but there were a few areas where the glue was thicker. The mixture of both of these led to a lot of bubbles in the glue, and every air bubble was visible when you looked at it up close. I had to take off the front cover to see how everything lined up. I was also curious about the bevel covering up the edge of the paper and what the glue looked like under the surface. In the glue, I could see all the air bubbles that would later irk me, so I tried using the roller to push out what I could. I have since learned to accept what I cannot change.
Just gotta wait for the glue to dry and we'll go clear.
In the background you will hear me playing Mazurlu from the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. I learnt that the day that I recorded this tape, so cut me some slack on how raw it sounds. At this point I just put some foam, wood and an amp on top to keep it pressed down while the glue dried. As you can see, I added copper tape to shield the electrics, and as I mentioned in the other video, I looped back the bridge position to the neck position so that when the 5-way switch moves into the bridge position, it's actually connecting back to the neck pickup. Looking back, this would suit a Gibson 3-way switch, or I could have left the 3rd position open and used it as a kill switch. So there it is. Until next time, have a bloody good one.